So today we're going to work on moving forward into forward bends. So I'd like you to really think about that action of opening out the back. Forward bends themselves are very, very soothing. They soothe the nervous system and they open up the entire back of the body, which is especially good if you have any kind of backache. They can relieve tension and improve digestion and elimination as they massage all the internal organs in the belly area and cleanse the liver and the intestines. If you do one pose each day, really make sure it's a forward bend, it's that healthy. And the book I'm using today is, again, one of my favorite books. It's Yoga Heals Your Back by Rita Treiger. You can still buy it at reputable bookshops. And it's chapter 8, moving forward. So let's begin first of all in child pose. Okay, so coming back to your mat. And you can have a blanket on your mat. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll do a nice nurturing pose, healing pose. This alleviates head, neck and chest pains, and it opens up the pelvic floor, as well as the upper and the lower back and the hips, and it reduces stress. So breathe into all the muscles and joints as you're in it, and surrender as completely as possible into the pose. Don't allow distractions or thoughts in if you can help it. So it's an inversion, and inversions always calm the central nervous system and help the brain to kind of rest. So let's go into it. I would take the knees a little bit wide. You don't have to traditionally, it's done with the thighs parallel to each other, but I find that my kind of middle-aged spread a little bit bouncing on my thighs. So open up a little if you wish, coming down, and we'll do the extended child pose, Balasana, first. So forehead to the floor, and we're trying to release the sitting bones onto the heels and stretch the arms out nice and long. So when you've got the arms at maximum stretch, just tiptoe with your fingers, trying to go that little bit more forward, then relax the forearms onto the floor. And open out the shoulder blades and allow the shoulders to be very wide from each other and come down to the floor. So it's a nice, soothing, restful pose. Once we're in the pose, try to relax the arms and relax the legs. Body, the hips, the back, just let them go, relax the face. Nothing to do. Just being nice, gentle breathing. And come out of this pose, slide the hands towards the head, pause, slide them a little bit further towards you, pause, push through the hands and come up, nice and restful. These are great poses to do actually at the end of the day because they'll help you to calm right down and be prepared for a nice nourishing sleep. So the next pose is going to be downward facing dog. So if you have socks on, if you live in a cold climate, pretty cold up there today in England, what I'd like you to do is take the socks off and remove your blanket because we need the tacky stickiness of our mat. Okay. And then we're kneeling on the mat and tuck your toes just underneath, right, like so, and stretch the arms a bit wider, okay? And then I'd like you to push up with the toes and going into Ardha Mukha Svanasana, the downward facing dog now. I'm just protecting my right Achilles tendon at the moment, so that's not going to go down too far, but You can also do a nice little stepping action, just stretching the Achilles and hamstrings on the legs. Yeah, on the backs of the legs. And it's like a wiggle action, like a pussycat really, just before it pounces. And then eventually easing the tailbone a bit up to the heavens and widening out the shoulder blades, tucking the chin in and breathing into the pose. So it's both a inversion and a forward bend. Wonderful. And minimum time, stay in that for say 30 seconds or so. Maximum, as long as you can tolerate it without it feeling awful, I reckon. 2-3 minutes. Okay. So breathing into that. Be aware of the body. It gives you a chance to really sense around the body what's happening. How's the body doing this morning? If your wrists find it a bit hard, a little technique I learned was to roll up your mat, the downward facing dog, and put your heel of the hand on your mat and then go up. And that doesn't make the angle of the wrist so severe, so it doesn't hurt quite so much. Okay, and then breathing out, coming down, just rest for a moment again in that nice long child pose. Allow the body to come back into equilibrium. Okay. We often use the downward facing dog as a transitional pose. On its own, it stretches the palms. You could feel that across the hands, the chest, the back, the hamstrings, the calves and the feet. It strengthens the arms and the legs and the torso, and actually it brings energy into the entire body. It can also improve focus and willpower, stimulate the mind, reduce stress, and relieve the lower back pain down here. So the next one we're going to do is the standing forward fold, and we'll do it very, very gently, especially if you're doing it in the morning because you'll be feeling rather stiff. And this strengthens the feet, the knees, the thighs, stretches again, the hamstrings and the calves here. It'll improve digestion. It's a forward fold, it's massaging in there to those internal organs. It opens up the hips and the groin area, and it soothes the central nervous system because it's a forward bend, okay? And really, really wonderful benefits. It's an inverted pose. So let's do it together, coming up. Position the feet about hip joint width apart. Slightly bend the knees. You can breathe in and bending, going down. Relaxing, slightly floppy forward bend, nothing too severe. See how my knees are bent. And I'm just gently easing myself down. Now, if you feel that going down towards the floor is too much, then go towards the knees, rest there. Otherwise, just letting go and letting the spine drop down with the weight of the head. The weight of the head is about 8 pounds, and it can really help extend and open up the spinal column. And breathing into that. So staying in it, unless of course you're uncomfortable. Breathing into it. You can, if you want, massage the backs of the calves for a moment if they're feeling very stiff, or the hamstrings, the Achilles tendon, and then dropping back into the pose. And try to see that you've got even weight all around the foot. You're not kind of just putting the weight through the heel or the ball of the foot. Even weight distribution, and your ankles aren't collapsing inwards or outwards. Just adjust those. Chin to chest. Base lock, if you know how to do it, just lifting the base lock of the torso. Opening out the shoulder blades. Breathing into the pose. And to come out of it, I would bend the knees more deeply and then put the hands on the knees and use this thigh strength to bring you up rather than your back, so that you're protecting yourself, okay? And, minimum for that pose, I would say stay in it at least a minimum of 10 rounds of breathing would be good. And then let's do that similarly again, but we'll do it with a chest expansion. So going into the pose, and see if I stand further back, you can see me better. I'd like you to stretch up, coming forward so you've opened out the abdominal area in that long stretch up. Okay, and then when you're down on your mat, lift your arms up behind you, clasping the fingers together, either doing an interlock fingers or just holding on to the fingers. Okay, and then see if you can get the hands to go up towards the heavens. Okay, and you may not be able to go very far, don't worry about it. And bring the shoulder blades together this time, tuck the chin in. You can have the knees bent again. Always best to have the knees soft in this so we don't overstrain the lower back. Lovely, breathing into it. Meant to be very good for the complexion to invert the face, blood supply rushing into the face. Lovely, and then again to come out of it, take it slow, breathing out, bring the hands to the lower back, just rub down the legs a little with your hands, bend the knees a bit more, position the hands on the knees, it's almost like you're squatting, and come up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into a squat. So again, I'm just protecting my right Achilles tendon, which I hope I've fallen over on a walk, tripped, I think. So hold on, let me just, I need a block to protect that foot. That's better. Okay, so in India, of course, people just kind of sit like this at, bus stops. Try to make sure that the ankle isn't falling inward, that it's actually keeping quite strongly outward. So that you've got even weight distribution again through all of that, or both of those feet. It's a relaxing and it's a position that helps you focus. It alleviates low back pain. It helps to relieve sciatica. It opens the hips, you can feel that. Improves balance, strengthens the ankles and feet, and helps create some poise. And if you put your elbows in between your knees, you can actually use the strength of your arms, can you see, to push those knees further and wider out. And the hands are in namaste position at the chest, and I'm trying to bring the torso upright. It's a bit tricky. I don't want to put too much weight on my heels because I might topple and fall backwards. All right, so breathing into that. And if you find it's difficult, this pose, do what I do, put blocks underneath the heels, it helps you go down into it. Right, and to come out of that, I would suggest actually coming back onto your seat and just going into cross-leg position. You can use a small block to sit your tailbone on, okay, and sitting comfortably, just bring the sitting muscles back, and we're going to do a seated forward fold in this cross-leg position, easy Sukhasana, easy cross-leg position. Now, don't force this particular pose, take it very gently, especially don't force it if you're feeling tight or tense, or you know your lower back is a little bit dodgy. Just take it carefully. You can always go down onto fist on fist, put your forehead on your fist. Just listen to your body as you go into it. And let gravity and your breath just help you ease downwards. I always give myself plenty of time to do this pose. And remember, as you deepen your practice and continue your practice, you may get down a little more, but it's no big deal, honestly, no big deal. So Extend upwards through the spine. And one way to do that is to really stretch up. Okay. Lift, 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 lift. Okay, and think of crown of the head lifting as well. And now keep your shoulders directly over those hip joints. Okay, reaching right through the fingertips. Okay, drop your shoulders down, so they're not going up. It's your fingertips going up. And can you feel your ribcage coming away from your waistline there? Okay. And then when we exhale, we're going to hinge from the hip joints. Hinge, and at the same time, we're extending forward with the fingers. All right, coming down. And really trying to keep long in the spine and the belly so we don't scrunch up these organs that are in this belly area. Okay, so you go down as far as you feel comfortable, slowly, slowly. Gravity, patience, and the breath helping you ease down. And you can bend your elbows and eventually you can either go onto fist on fist or one fist, you know, whatever feels just about right for you. Don't over push it on this one. And when you got down to your lowest point and feel fairly comfortable, just breathing gently, keep the breathing going, find the oxygen around the body, easing yourself down a little bit deeper on the out breaths. Okay. And if you feel that you're comfortably there, if you want to on an out breath, you could take your arms forward and ease further down into the pose. The trick is to keep the tailbone on the floor, so your seat touching the floor, at the same time that your head is coming down. Not easy, but wherever we've got to on that is good. At least we're doing something towards this seated forward bend, cross-legged forward bend. Just check the spine again, that might have scrunched up a bit, so nudge the forehead further away from the groin, along the floor. Extend. Relax the face. Breathing into it. Okay. And then to come up, push through the hands. And minimum in that pose would be 10 rounds of breathing. So we did a little bit longer than that, but it's really nice. And then breathing out, bring the hands down to the sides and extending one leg out in front of you. Okay, I'm doing the right leg. And you can keep your left leg bent. If you're finding that your knee isn't going down to the floor, put something under it like a cushion or a block. Okay, and bring the toes towards you on the right foot. Okay, we're going to open up the chest here and the lungs. Improving our digestion again by this wonderful internal massage into this belly area. And this pose will increase our circulation into the liver and the kidneys and the colon. It helps to alleviate headaches and it will strengthen your lower back. On the emotional level, it helps to relieve stress, anxiety and depression. So it's a good one. Lovely hand to knee forward bend. So breathing in, extend the arms up. Again, move the rib cage away from the waist. Lift the rib cage here, up and over, as though there was a barrier here, up and over as we go down on the out breath. That's it, lovely. And wherever your hands end up on your legs or your foot, that's fine. Okay, breathing into it, breathing into it. And lowering the head down. Try to keep your shoulders level to the floor, not your right shoulder coming down and your left going up. Try to keep it nice and level. Keep thinking about extending that belly. You'll feel a very strong stretch along the back of the leg. So you can bend the knee a little if you wish, so that you don't hurt anything. And then when we get down there, minimum 10 rounds of breathing as we rest in this pose. So on each out breath, try and go down that little bit more. Okay. Kind of lead with your heart center here, taking it forward, taking it towards that foot. And let go. Even 3 rounds of breath in this pose is so beneficial, okay? And then breathing in, coming up. Extend the arms up. Breathe out and down, and we'll swap. We'll put the right knee bent and the left foot out. Might need to move our sitting muscles back. And then breathing in, extending up. Long, long, long. So you're trying to reach something up there. And keep that long. Extend from here, the heart as well. That's going forward towards the foot. And down we go. Right? And you can let your belly rest along your thigh. And if you're able, you know, the forehead can rest on the shin, but if you're far from that, don't worry about it. It's still highly beneficial pose. Just think about bringing the shoulders more towards the foot and keeping them, both of them, even distance from the floor. Okay. And I find it's always best to kind of underachieve really in a yoga pose, because when you overachieve, there's a tendency to pull something, stretch something too far. So it's really an antithesis of the way we, you know, struggle, push, do more, try harder. In yoga, we're actually trying to be and sense what's happening in the body, what's happening here for my body, what's best for it in this moment. Okay. Hold on a moment. That's the first time it's happened. Okay. So coming out of that, slide up and open up and breathe out and down. And just bring both feet together. So you've got that lovely cobbler pose for a moment. Opening out. And then we end. That's our 20 minutes for today. Thank you.